Right, Dewey? So welcome to the Colorado Association of Black Professional Engineers and Scientists and ACEC Colorado Math Enrichment training. And I'm going to go ahead and turn things over in a moment to Dr. Dewey Brigham from CABPES, who is the president, and do an introduction there. But before we get started, I did want to just do a couple housekeeping items. So the presentation portion of today's chat is being recorded, but the recording will be stopped before the Q&A and open discussion begins. ACEC Colorado seeks to avoid antitrust violations and connections with its activities. Therefore, please avoid engaging in conduct that gives the appearance of impermissible conversation, agreement, alliance, or impropriety. Discussion among all participants may be kept free of even the suggestion of restraint of trade or selection of suppliers, customers, or prices. And then we have corporate sponsors I want to thank. First of all, our diamond corporate sponsors are Initial IT and Ken's Print and Graphics. And then the use of the chat feature if you need it. The ACEC Colorado staff will be handling that. So just put any questions in the chat. But again, our Q&A will be held till the end. And we can either read those for you or you can just go off mute and go ahead and ask the questions. And now I'd like to introduce you again to CABPES President and Executive Director, Dewey F. Brigham Jr., Ph.D. I like to call him Dr. Dewey Brigham, as I said earlier. And I will go ahead and turn things over to him.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen with you guys and hopefully I get this thing, let's see if I get this there. Okay, so does it look good to everybody? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see your screen.
Oh, really?
Yep, you might have to click the share screen at the bottom and then.
Oh. That is very interesting. See it yet?
Nope. Dewey, I can run it too if it's easier.
Oh, okay, why don't you do that then?
Okay, 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, we should be good now, hopefully.
Okay, good. Sorry about that, everybody. We ran through this before we got on the call, the Zoom meeting live. But thank you to Heidi and Dana and Aaron for inviting CABPES to do this presentation. I'm excited to do it. And again, we've been partnering together for quite some time, and the goal is to get the association, the council rather, to help us spread our message and getting more of the engineering companies, architectural firms, and construction companies involved in volunteering in CABPES. And so CABPES is an organization that was founded in the late 1970s. And the purpose of our organization, and I won't read too many slides, but I'll definitely read this one. The Colorado Association of Black Professional Engineers and Scientists, CABPES, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to encouraging African Americans and other underrepresented youth to pursue science, technology, engineering, and math careers. By doing so, the number of minority STEM professionals will increase to the level that better represents the minority population while assisting industry in meeting the growing demand of STEM professionals. So that is the purpose of our organization, why we were founded, and it was, and we can go on to the next slide there. So again, it was incorporated in 1980. The original thought of the organization was to develop a professional networking organization where many of African-American engineers and scientists, including myself, could come together and develop relationships, partnerships, networking and professional development, because we found ourselves back in the 80s, and my career goes all the way back to the 70s. There were nobody that looked like me when I started in the oil and gas industry in 1975, and then I switched over to consulting engineering in 1986 as a construction manager with CH2M Hill. And I found myself even in 1986, working in the Denver office with CH2M Hill, being the only African-American construction manager in the office. And I'm sure we had several hundred engineers in the company. So that was the purpose of the organization, is to try to build a organization that would accommodate a lot of the professionals that found themselves in silos, but had a mission and wanted to help build a pipeline of young people to come after us so that they wouldn't have those same experiences. So we've been around for 42 years doing the work that we'll talk about here in the next slide. Okay, here's one that I'm really proud of. This is most recently, as a matter of fact, it's most recent as of last month, January 21st. This group of 8 students participated in Colorado Regional Future City Competition. Again, we are an after-school program, and we competed in the regional STEM Future City Competition at Colorado School of Mines on January 21st. And we competed against charter schools, private schools, public schools, and most of those teams had anywhere from 15, 20, 30 kids on the team. And you can see we had a team of 8 students, and those 8 students took second place in a state competition. And so I want to show you guys, even though we are a grassroots nonprofit, but the work we do in our after-school programs is taking our kids all the way up to competitions like this. And this is the 3rd time that we've placed in the competition. We can move to the next slide. Okay, so in order to build that pipeline of STEM professionals, future engineers that I mentioned earlier, CABPES, you hear me say, Colorado Association of Black Professional Engineers and Scientists, long name, so we call it CABPES. What we did back in the 80s was said, okay, the networking is one thing, but let's also build a pipeline so that students coming behind us, hopefully they won't have some of the same experiences that we've had in our careers. And so we developed, our primary program is the Junior Engineers Tomorrow Scientists Program, JETS. Then our next program is the Math Enrichment Program. Then we have a summer math boot camp, an SAT, ACT college preparatory program. And also we do the Future City competitions, along with, we're talking with our other organizations to get our kids involved in additional competitions moving forward. So we can go to the next slide. Okay, last year, as you can see, this number of our registration increased to 240%. That was right after COVID. When schools opened back up, kids were already behind in math and science anyway. But right after COVID, students were really behind in math and science. So we decided we have got to really get more people involved. But in addition to that, we realized we need to serve more students. And so for years, we were charging $200 per student for a whole year of tutoring in math. Kids, we started the program in September. We tutored kids all the way up until the end of May for $200. But we realized parents were struggling. A lot of the demographics we serve were struggling anyway. So we decided that we're not going to charge. So between COVID and us not charging, you can see our registration skyrocketed to about 240%. And so that's good, but we've got to do a better job in serving the kids, which is the purpose of this call, and we'll talk even further. But we serve kids in grades 5 through 12. Primarily school districts, we serve kids in the Denver Public Schools, the Aurora Public Schools, Cherry Creek School Districts, home schools, and some private schools. The breakdown of our program is 55% of our students are male, 45% of our students are female. And currently we're serving about 300 students per year in our after-school STEM programs. And I don't recall if I have a slide to talk about this, but we do serve the kids in the after-school program. We're serving kids in the Math Enrichment Program and our SAT program. We're serving those kids over at Colorado Early Colleges, Aurora on Mississippi and Abilene. And then we're running our engineering program over at in the University of Denver School of Engineering building. So in the Math Enrichment Program, again, grades 5 through 12, we start out with basic math, kids, 5th graders, 6th graders, whatever grade they're in, basic math. We tutor kids in algebra 1 and 2, trigonometry, geometry, integrated math, calculus, chemistry, physics. And I don't know how many of you are aware, but a lot of these kids, especially in the demographics we serve, the schools don't provide them books. So a lot of times the kids come to us without school books, without homework. And you talk to a student, well, what are you doing with a volunteer, such as some of you guys on the call will come and tutor and say, well, what are you guys working on in class? Kid don't have a clue. So what we did was we purchased IXL computer math software. And it's designed to the Colorado math standards. And that's how we keep the kids engaged, the ones that don't have homework, or the ones that finish their homework on time. We have the kids working math problems on the computer. And also we're not doing this right now, but traditionally we would let the kids play chess and do other kind of math games. But right now we're just trying to get the students caught up, or at least get them their confidence levels up. So we can move to the next slide. Here's just a photo of one of our volunteers with a couple of his students, and we do a big banquet at the end of the school year, which is our biggest fundraiser of the year. And this is a young man who is proud of his robots that he worked on, and he was also in that Future City photo that I showed earlier. He's a 6th grader now, 5th grader last year when that picture was taken. And this kid is going to grow up and he's going to be one of the most dynamic students we ever had in the program. Next slide. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the bread and butter of the CABPES organization, which is what I deem is how we get more consulting engineering firms involved, is our Junior Engineers Tomorrow Scientists program. And so in the classes that we offer in the JETS program is aerospace engineering, architecture, biomedical engineering, civil engineering, construction management, computer science, robotics and drones, and project management. Now, what separates CABPES from any other organization is 2 things I'll say that separate us, maybe 3. But anyway, what separates us mostly is the fact that the individuals teaching these classes work in that field of study in the real world. So what we try to bring to the kids is real world experience. In our aerospace engineering class, aerospace engineers are teaching that class. Architects teach that class. Civil engineering, civil engineers, and vice versa. Construction management. We have general contractors teaching those classes. So the thing that really separates us is the fact that we do have professionals working in the field teaching the classes, and for the most part, a lot of these people teaching these classes look like the students. Now, I'm gonna pause on that statement because I always want to make sure that whenever I'm presenting, people know one thing about our organization is we do not discriminate. I mean, we'll talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and we were doing diversity, equity, inclusion before it ever came about. We were doing STEM in the 80s before it came about. So in my mind, we were way ahead of the curve. But again, when I talk about having professionals of color helping with teaching these kids, because it's true. In my experiences in my career as a construction manager, I would have loved to have worked with someone on my team. The 33 years that I was with CH2M Hill, I would have loved to work with somebody that looked like me. I've never had that opportunity in my entire career. I spent 10 years in oil and gas, 33 years in consulting engineering. I don't know what it's like. And guess what? I never will because I'm retired. So anyway, here's some more photos of kids, younger kids. You see over there where we had one kid proud of the bridge that he did in the transportation group. The kids showing off their drones again. And then that's our construction management group of kids right there. Next slide. Okay, so we offer also SAT, ACT college preparatory program. Why do we do that? Well, because studies show, data states, students of color do not do well on standardized examinations. We got to get these kids to colleges and universities throughout the country. So we decided, again, back in the 80s, we're going to start, in addition to the SAT program, in addition to the JETS program, the Math Enrichment Program, we're going to start a SAT, ACT college preparatory program so we can teach these kids the strategies that they need to take standardized examinations, as well as we help these kids apply, complete applications and apply for colleges to go to, give recommendations to them, and then help them look into scholarships and financial aid so that they can go to college. Next slide. After we've offered all of these programs throughout the school year from January to May, now summer is up on us, and so we do a 5-week summer math boot camp. Again, that's what kids in grades 5 through 12. The purpose of that is the kids got a lot of gaps. These students have a lot of gaps. You have high school kids still counting on their fingers. You have high school kids still don't know how to do fractions. But the schools continue to allow them to go to the next level. So we're trying to fill in those gaps during the summer, and that's the purpose of our Math Enrichment Program. And I will say right now, all of these programs, to date, we have about 70 kids show up on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday for these programs, and the same thing that happens during the summer. Next slide. So one of the things that we do during the summer, along with the students participating in learning math and science, we take the kids on field trips because we realize, just getting them out there, letting them see what engineers do is one of the ways to really inspire them. So last summer, we took the kids to Sierra Space, Bluff Lake Nature Center, to Lincoln Hills, and we took them on an archaeology field trip. All of these field trips were very, very exciting field trips for the students in Lincoln Hills. I don't know if many of you guys know what Lincoln Hills is all about, but it's the first resort for African Americans founded in the early 1900s because African Americans weren't allowed to go to a lot of resorts here in the United States because of segregation. So this Lincoln Hills, Colorado, it was found that resort was founded, and some of the prominent African American performers and folks back in the early 1900s, and they would come to Colorado and go to this particular site. And when the person that owns a lot of this land now is you guys have heard of Robert Smith. And Robert Smith is a chemical engineering major. You get where he went to school, but he went to East High School here in Denver, and he is the richest African American in the United States. So he owns that that property up there at Lincoln Hills. Now this year, we have some field trips already on the books to take the kids to Google. Again, we'll take them to Lincoln Hills because of the history behind it. And then we will take the kids to a water treatment facility sponsored by Hazen and Sawyer. We'll go to the next slide. Okay, additional STEM opportunities and events. So some of the other events that we do in our organization is, I'm a graduate of an HBCU, Prairie View A&M University. Very proud of that experience. In fact, I got a 21-year-old daughter graduating from the same university in May. But we do a historical Black colleges roundtable, and what we have is a lot of young students, professionals that went to HBCUs. We'll do a roundtable discussion so that we encourage some of the kids that can't get in some of the PWIs to come and learn about HBCUs and hopefully those kids attend some of those HBCUs. And our strategy is working in that area. We do have a lot of kids that participate in our after-school STEM programs go to HBCUs. Another thing about HBCUs, and I say this all the time when I'm presenting, is I remember back in the days when I would ask the question to some of my colleagues at CH2M Hill is, why don't we have a lot of African-American professionals in the firm? And the answer was always, we can't find them. And so I always have been advocating since then and to this very day where they are. And it's the HBCUs. And I know for a fact, because I attended, there is some bright minds. And I would say, talking about that, is HBCUs produce most of your African-American Black lawyers, doctors, engineers, nurses, agriculture folks. So those schools are very, very prominent in helping us as industry get a lot of people into the STEM profession. And we also do a STEM fair. We participate in Colorado Energy Day. And then we will be doing Women's History Month with a table talk next month, and also annual Student Awards Banquet. We do Engineers Week, which is going on right now. It's perfect what we're doing right now. But our biggest fundraiser of the year happens in May. This year, May 7th, we will have our awards banquet, and that is to recognize and award our students for all of the work that they have put in, because it's a huge commitment for parents to start in September and bring their kids to our programs 3 nights a week, all the way up until May. But it's an even bigger commitment for companies and their employees to serve as volunteers and supporters of what we do in our after-school STEM programs. Next slide. So ways that you guys can get involved is become a JETS advisor, become a math tutor. And becoming a math tutor is the one I'm going to talk a little bit more about after we get to that slide. Sponsor a field trip. I think we still want to do one more field trip. And I'm thinking we want to do something in the aerospace arena. So we're looking more like a Lockheed GLA or something like that, because we have so many kids want to go into aerospace engineering. And then we do a STEM fair. And we're always looking for internship opportunities for our kids. And we're also looking for support for our annual awards banquet. We sell corporate banquet tables, ads, and things like that. So we encourage you guys as well to become corporate donors. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, so I'm gonna take me a sip of coffee here. And I'm gonna dive into this one a little bit more, because this is the purpose of what I wanted to talk to you guys about. And I'll just jump sort of to the bottom, since I talked a lot about what we're doing in the Math Enrichment Program. Volunteers are so needed. You guys are so needed. And one thing I know is that companies want to get involved. And I do know that employees want to get involved. And so right now, it says CABPES reduced the student-tutor ratio from 5-to-1 to a 2-to-1 ratio, which allows us better to serve the students. Well, that's a stretch, that 5-to-1. Last week, we had, some of those classes had about 10 kids to 1 volunteer, 14 kids to 1 volunteer. That's a problem. And that's a problem that I believe, and I know that we as an engineering society can help fix. And I'm going to also be talking to the construction and the architectural industries as well. But today I'm speaking, hopefully I'm speaking to more consulting engineering firms, because this is where I spent 33 years of my life working. We need your help. And so we have come up with a strategy of how we can make it easy on everybody. And the way I like to term it is we have what I call marathon runners. We have some volunteers that have been tutoring in our programs for 20 years, 15 years. And they are baby boomers like myself. And so that's good, but we have got to make sure we replace these guys. But in addition to that, there is a way a strategy that we are developing as a CABPES organization board of directors that I want to try and I want to introduce you guys to you. And I know I'll just say it up front. I have several engineering firms that have already committed to this, and one engineering firm, we talked about them already. But so what I'm proposing is, what if I'll say Jacob, since they you know, I'm a part of that firm from C.H. Hill days. What if Jacobs? I'll say Burns and Max, and they're a bigger supporter of us right now. What if we're talking about 35 weeks that we do math tutoring during the school year? What if I go to Jacobs, since everybody knows Jacobs and how big they are between them and CH, formerly? What if they said, okay, Dewey, you guys tutor math on Monday nights, Wednesday nights. We're going to look at our pool of engineers, and we're going to send a message out, and we're going to have 20, 25 people come help y'all on Monday nights, 20, 25 people come on Wednesday nights. We're going to call that Jacob's Volunteer Day in CABPES. What that does, it takes us away from that 5-to-1 that I showed, which really fluctuates anywhere from 12, 14 to 1 in reality. It takes us away from that. And so Jacobs will say, okay, we'll come the first week. Well, in my mind, they've done their due diligence and volunteering in our program for the whole school year. So I know there's 18 folks on this call. What if every company on this call said, we're going to take a week, Dewey? 2 hours on Monday, 2 hours on Wednesday, and we're going to send 20, 25 folks there. Now we've got kids coming there, and they are getting pretty much close to one-on-one, 2-to-1 tutoring. We're helping these kids. We're helping ourselves as firms, because one of these days you guys are going to hire these folks. So you might as well be the ones helping us prepare them for STEM careers. And the slide that we have up here now, believe it or not, somebody can do the math themselves for me, but $31.51, that was in 2022. The hour rate could be higher now. That's what a volunteer hour means to us. But what I can say, our volunteers contributed in all of our after-school STEM programs, including the summer, contributed it last year over $300,000 to our organization in kind. And so that's the purpose of this slide. And so we're working on a marketing plan to present to interested companies, and we're starting on that on Friday, meeting on that on Friday. But in the meantime, I have to move forward with selling the idea. And it's Hazen and Sawyer. I'll just tell you, they've already agreed to come next week. And they're going to send, they're a small firm. They're going to send 20 volunteers to help tutor math on Monday and Wednesday of next week. I have some more folks that I'm talking to. And hopefully after this presentation, some of you guys will say, okay, look like CABPES have, well, I'm rounding it off, but look like y'all got another 13 weeks. I hope 13 folks say, hey, we'll take a week. Now you rest for the summer. We'll come back in September, and then we'll be in a better place to just fill the calendar up, and we'll have enough volunteers coming to help these kids in math and tutoring them in math. And so that's what I want to talk to you guys about, and hopefully we can have a discussion about that for a few minutes. This is a gentleman that worked for ULA. He's teaching our kids. He's our aerospace engineering volunteer. Next slide. Okay, questions and answers. You guys got any questions for me?